Previously on the Midnight Channel. This place is actually a familiar one. We've been here in our dreams, all the way back when we first arrived in Inaba. Is that a Jack Frost gun? We haven't shown her swimsuit yet. Sure, why not? Beach party in Izanami's realm. Yes, the trademark attire of Sherlock Holmes that he never actually wore. Oh, hey, that's the first time you said, and wow, Aaron Fitzgerald did a really good job of saying that Persona's name. Izanami's first test in this final episode of the Midnight Channel, the Neo Minotaur.
Darkness won't.
We can ready. Bring it on!
Izanami, you'll have to try better than that. And let's finish you off with Frost Shot.
That's what comes of underestimating me.
Yeah, something that trips and falls over when trying to attack us is definitely not enough to break our will. And now, welcome back to more of the finale of Persona 4 Golden. It's kind of surreal that we're this far in, but it's time for the second half of Yomotsu Hirasaka, but before that, we're gonna fuse some things. I'm not sure how much I'll be able to fuse because I don't have a lot of money right now. But if we do a search and go to the very bottom, we can get Magatsu Izanagi, but a lot of the combinations I can use to fuse him involve Kaguya, who I want to keep, and this combination, I'd like to use them for something else. So I think I'm actually gonna hold off on him for now, but I think I will actually get... Yes, I think it's time. Neburo, Sandalphon, and a third persona that I really don't particularly care about will get us Hallel. He's nowhere near as good as he was in Persona 3, as I've said before, but I can pass down some good immunities onto him with this setup. And he already naturally nulls fire. Okay, so there we go. Absorb wind, repel ice, absorb physical, and mind charge. That makes you immune to everything except electricity. And I'll leave the fusion here, because this is a very, very special persona. And so, come forth, Ultimate Angel. We will be needing your power here at the very end. And there's Salvation, in case he couldn't get any, well, I was about to say more overpowered, but he's not really that overpowered in this game. Like, his overall stats are... I've noticed that, like, the higher level personas, they kind of nerf their stats compared to P3. I may have already said this, but in P3 it was actually kind of common for most of the, like, level 90s-ish personas to have stats that were all around the 80s. Repel Wind. Do I want to repel wind, or do I want to absorb it? That's the question. I think I want to absorb it, actually. Also, Arms Master, for some reason, even though you're not really that physically inclined. Megadola on Miragidyne. I don't think I really want that. And, oh. So, yeah, today is actually a skill change day. How fitting for the last day where it's possible to fuse personas. Oh boy, what could Absorb Physical potentially turn into? Okay, so I could potentially get things like God's Hand, Primal Force, Megadola, Salvation, which I already have. Divine... Yeah, for some reason Divine Grace is considered a rank 8 skill, and I'm really not sure why. I'm actually very tempted to just try this and just see what I get, even though it's really not optimal. Yeah, that's not the best thing in the world, but I guess it could have been worse. It could have been Divine Grace when I already have a skill that fully heals you. Hachiman and Norn makes Skahar, but Norn has Debilitate, which can't be... Although I do have a skill card for that I've kept and I haven't registered yet. Yep, there's no way I can fuse Skahar without Norn right now. This is not like the most optimal thing in the world, but I'll do it just for now. I'll probably end up buying back Trumpeter as my debilitate persona for the end. In some games, Scaha has red clothes. She has black in this one. Also got a pretty big level bump from regular Persona 5 to Golden. Did I just Persona 5 Golden? No, I'm Royal. But yeah, there's Magarodine. I don't think you're gonna learn Wind Amp. I know you learn that naturally, but no, you're gonna get Wind Amp. Okay, so I got Boost and Amp on you and a pretty solid magic stat too for Magarodine. That's actually not that bad. Amrita's actually kind of a nice skill to have though. Yeah, I'll go for this in a moment. Oh, and you learn Mind Charge too. Auto Masuku, no, I want to keep my double autos, unfortunately. I know you'd all love to see some skill change fun, but I'm not going to do that, at least for now. Okay, Satan, Loki, who I haven't used for ages, and Shiki Orgy. Now this, again, is really, really not optimal, because this Satan is extremely good. But, on the other hand, I do want more Compendium completion. I don't have Mataru Unda or anyone else, I guess I'll take that. Again, totally not optimal, but more Personas for me. I really like the way Vishnu looks in HD in Persona 5. Unfortunately, Vishnu's like not really all that good in P5, I find. Especially in Royal, where he kind of got overtaken as the ultimate wind user by someone who isn't even an ultimate. Regenerate 3 is your skill card, but it also kind of sucks. Okay, so something I should mention is, so at this point, you have no access to extracting skill cards. But you can, if you register as many Personas with skill cards to the Compendium as possible, then in a New Game Plus, you can extract those and go for the 100 skill cards trophy, which is very hard to get on your first playthrough. Don't really have much that has power charge besides Yoshitsune. And I have that on other things. Oh, do I want to go for that? Do I really? I'm gonna say no to that one. I think I have just enough to get Rangda, and I have Barong. I can go for another Ultimate Persona Fusion here. Rangda and Barong, via them and them alone, we get Shiva. I'm definitely going to save before that, though I'm not going to risk that being an accident. Okay, oh, you come with Enduring Soul, that's pretty cool, and a very good strength stat. I can't really pass down a lot of good skills to you, but I guess I can get Tetrakan. Hammer-On. Argidyne, I guess. More room for Shiva's own skills. Okay, good, no accident. Though I don't know if you'll get Pralaya this, via this experience. I'm guessing no. I would still love to show that, because it's kind of a crazy skill and a great one to have on New Game Plus. And shame there's no, like, pierce skill in the Persona games, where, like, you could give it to something and then their physical attacks would pierce resistances. Although pierce in most SMT games usually doesn't go through, repel. Oh yeah, definitely not getting Pralaya. Need a couple of Emperor cards to get that. Zeodyne. I'll go for that, sure. I think that's actually better. Yeah, gonna take quite a few Emperor cards to get Pralaya, but it's a pretty cool skill. So with, oh, I don't nearly have enough money for that. So with Shiva, we can actually summon yet another Persona out of that, another special fusion, once we have some more money. So I'll be going for that a bit later, I think. Okay, hold up a minute. I promised to show this before we went into the dungeon again. So, if you access the TV, you have access to both Daidara and the Shiroku store from here, so you don't need to worry about running out of equipment or items, because you can freely buy anything, and because it's a rainy day, it's a discount. Of course, you don't have anything to say about the fact that we're accessing your shop through another dimension. I'm sure we will someday. Not really sure how we'll, whether we want to visit your, much more sultry alternate persona. And there's also Daidara. And Daidara is significant because here you can sell your materials. No, we have some unfinished business to take care of. Oh, that's still a nice line from him. But yeah, this stuff can actually get you some more weapons. Not that you really need them at this point, though From Zero is a really cool name. Critical rate up. It's actually pretty solid, but I prefer what she currently has. Now I have a bit more money, I might actually be able to do that fusion, but it would mean giving up Shiva, and that would mean that I don't get to show Pelaya. I might leave that until a bit later. In fact, I kind of like to make that the last persona that I get for Compendium completion. Because, yeah, it is, like, I feel like it is the most guide-dang-it persona in the game. Even if you are well-versed in Hinduism, it's still a bit of a stretch to try that. It'll all make sense once I fuse that persona. But anyway, Yukiko, let's just use the 3 we didn't use before. Something that I actually like is that due to the way that Persona 4's party is structured, it means you'll always have access to exactly one, and no more than one, team-up attack in any given party of 4. Well, we haven't shown this yet. Where did we get the Victory Fan from? I know we got it from something, but that's a really, really good weapon. Evade, spell, low, very high attack and act. Where did we get that? I think that was from the principal? But yeah, I've got a lot of other weapons to demo with her. Guess I haven't shown Yosuke's bowling pin either. Okay, with that all out of the way, let's move on. And I haven't used the Junes coveralls on Yosuke for a while. They almost look like reskinned versions of the fish. Does that say... Yeah, the frisbee says Junes on it. That's pretty cool. Also, yes, this is that outfit for Yukiko that Kashiwagi gave us. Yes, it does. It has a lot of pieces missing, such as dignity. Yeah, I've gone with the regular midwinter outfit here. I guess I'll show it in one fight, and I don't think I've shown Yukiko's bikini either, so I guess we'll have another beach party with this team. And so, about like the shadows jumping out of boxes here, something that you've probably noticed by now, there are no gold hands in this dungeon. If you want to grind for gold hands, you'll need to go back to either Adachi or Namatame's dungeons, which is actually kind of fitting. Oh wow, everything here's weak to dark. That's interesting. But yeah, you'll have to go back to either of those dungeons, and it's kind of a toss-up which is more, like which one of them is more efficient, because the hands in Adachi's dungeon rarely show up in anything beyond groups of 2, whereas the ones in Namatame's don't give as much experience or money, but they often show up in groups of 5 on the higher floors. And at this point in the game, they're probably a little easier to kill too, so... yeah, I kind of personally prefer Heaven for money and experience grinding.
It's over already?
And no more of that costume. 1 death sentence. Okay then. That just reminds me of a ridiculously in-jokey in-joke that is my father was once in a play that was so... it was like a German play that was horribly translated, and one of the lines was, "Bring me the death sentence." Oh, I haven't shown the maid outfits! Guess I can show the disco fan too. Yep, it's a maid outfit. Pretty much exactly what it says on the tin. Oh yeah, that would attract certain kinds of customers, I think. The Amagi Manor. You know, I can kind of see them doing that like one day a year. But yeah, anyway, that was always just a joke that I just love to share with my dad because, basically, like, that play was so bad that he and everyone else who was in it intentionally just messed around and just tried to make themselves laugh while doing it. Yeah, it's the kind of way that people who are, stuck doing bad movies sometimes entertain themselves as well. But, oh hey, it's the Kratos heads. Weak to light, though, and then these things. I feel like a lot of enemies in here have been in The Answer in Persona 3. So that's kind of interesting. So let's go for some ice, I guess. I think they drain that, though. Yep, the Kratos heads drain that. So it is sort of interesting that they're reusing a lot of Answer enemies in here.
That's some thick skin. Come on, Yosuke.
And here's that team-up attack. With bowling pins. And I think there's some weapons for Teddy that I haven't demoed either. I will probably, like, have, a separate video demonstrating all of the costumes and all of the, like, dialogue on costumes.
Teddy, no! Can someone help him?
I think that's another Risei line that I never had before. And made fan smack. I guess I'll take a persona that I can use as possibly fusion fodder. Was that an item called Crown of Truth? Yeah, whoever came up with the item names, they were pretty creative. Should probably switch to Skaha for the double auto skills. Yeah, here we go, Animal Paw. Haven't used those, and I haven't used the Crab Claw either. I also had the wrong item on Teddy. I'll do one battle here, then I'll do the beach party, and then I have some interesting things to talk about. You're not resistant or weak to anything. That's interesting. Like Shinjiro, I guess. Like, how much does a Wind Boost Wind Dance Garodine from you do? I mean, obviously not anything to the Kratos heads, but still. And my head keeps wanting to say Kratos, but that's the Tales of Symphonia character.
Keep it up, Yosuke-senpai. 2 defeated.
Oh wait, no, you drain ice. You're weak to fire, of course. I was like, oh yeah, you're the ones that drain fire, right? It's just give you Yukiko's turn. Well, at least you'll get a chance to burnonate everything as a maid. Well, it's been a long time since I heard that term be used. That was like really big back in the early 2000s. Was that early 2000s? I think it was later than 90s. I'm pretty sure that was early 2000s. Let's destroy this Kratos head. Yukiko is the Fire Maid to counteract the Ice Maids from FE Fates. Guess I can switch to the Victory Fan now to Arahabaki in Shuffle Time. That's not bad. I will take that. It's not a great persona, but it is decently high level. Now, speaking of Digital Devil Saga, which I was talking about last time, Arahabakis are very interesting in that game. Basically, it's like, if you have Kokaitis, they're a joke, but if you don't have Kokaitis, they're the worst enemy in the entire game. Thankfully, they only show up in an optional area. Oh, that's new. Oh, are you that Jotun who was the last Tartarus mini-boss in Persona 3? I think you are, yes, Jotun of Grief. Oh, you have way more weaknesses than you did in that game, though. Back in Persona 3, I believe this thing was, like, immune to everything except Pierce. Which made it, like, one of the few fights that Ken was, like, extremely specialized for. I personally think Ken is actually kind of underrated in P3. I don't think he's a terrible, like, character in battle, but, you know, I probably already said that a lot back in, thank you, Aeon. But yeah, I've said my piece on Ken back in P3. Alright, I promised a beach party. I guess we'll do that in the next fight. Until then, let's just continue. This song is called Corridor, by the way. It's also somewhat interesting for, in the Persona 4 fan musical that got a cease and desist, this was one of the few pieces of in-game music they actually used. I guess because it sounds generic enough that it's not immediately recognizable by copyright hounds as a Persona song. Oh, this thing. Oh, I remember you from the... Yeah, just about everything here is from The Answer.
You can win this. Just don't
This enemy looks very awkward in terms of its color palette. Weak to ice, and then this is the one I'm more worried about, though.
Wow, it's
Yep, it has Last Resort. Ugh, joy.
win this.
Much joy. My first game over of this playthrough was against a dice. That's not the kind of nostalgia that I want here. So we will destroy this thing.
You're on a roll, Senpai. 2 defeated.
Counting on you. Someone else's turn.
And burn. It's a little bit deceptive. They show the cut in there because it's not a crit or a weakness. There we go. Melted dice. No exploding for you today. Another Aeon. I guess Marie's watching over us. She's really, helping us to defeat her other half. Saturnus, too. I mean, I should... Of course, the Shuffle Time Persona is going to be good here, because this is the last dungeon. Okay, so I guess this time I will equip preemptively the swimsuits just to do another beach party. That looks really weird with the animal paw glove. Because we're embarrassing Izanami by, treating her realm of the underworld like it was, just a beach party. Kanji and Naoto are in the same room together. I've never actually had this happen before. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't think I've actually had Naoto's comment on her rank 10 social link. Preventing senility. Oh boy, wow, yeah. Kanji, that's... yeah, I'm not sure he'd, be really great with those, riddles. Oh, and yeah, this! So yeah, I think this is the first time we're actually seeing this, because I think because she's the last party member to join, the game doesn't really prioritize her showing up in dungeons, but this thing right here, exclusive to Naoto's max social link, this thing fully restores your SP. Free chest. Kanji, why didn't you just walk over and open that yourself? Well, I mean, you know, I guess he either was distracted by Naoto or just, you know, didn't really notice it there. And so, beach party. I can actually see a glinting gold chest in the distance from across, like, the river. That's pretty cool. Well, you clearly don't want us to have fun at the beach. Teddy's here to ensure that we all enjoy this beach party and that no one is afraid. There are no sharks here after all. No need to worry. Just a bunch of vicious eagles and I did it again, Kratos faces that are trying to kill you. And petals that melt your face off. Well, I guess it fits with beaches being hot. And so, achievement unlocked. Fight 2 battles in Izanami's dungeon while everyone is wearing swimwear. That actually does remind me of an actual achievement in Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Okay, there's Cert and another death sentence. Now let's take off the swimsuits. Gonna change things up with the costumes, though. Yosuke always wanted to be a hero, so let's have him with the Featherman outfit. Also, you're gonna take the Victory Fan, finally. Don't think I've actually used the Pinwheel with Yosuke, either. I had a feeling.
Looks like that one's immune to
Oh, I think I remember those things. Wow, there's a lot of enemies from the Answer in this place. Not that many people would know, because a lot of people hate the Answer.
electricity will work. This will be easy.
Yeah, here's the Micro Machine, the tiny
Need to
tank.
thin 'em out.
Let's see, let's do this. Don't really have many people here with electricity damage other than you. A tiny tank that's not very smart, but hits incredibly hard. Okay, I don't even think I have any Zeo here, because Shiva's Zeo skill changed. Oh, you have Maziodyne. Only the single one changed. So, here's Shiva for the first time.
2 enemies down. Keep going, Senpai.
Clearly these enemies betrayed him.
That's the way, Senpai. Do some more damage. Turn to Scarlet.
Oh, I get the feeling that the kanji on that fan would say victory or something.
3 enemies defeated. Nice.
And Animal Paw.
I'll get it next time.
And Pinwheels.
It's not going down.
And actual sword. There we go. Still love that victory animation. Okay. Well, I suppose I'll take that to maintain the shuffle time, and I'll take that too. Would have definitely appreciated an Emperor card on Shiva, except I don't think any of Shiva's skill... No, I can upgrade to Argidyne. Mahama on. It's an alright skill, especially with a lot of things weak to light and dark here. But with that actually out of the way... Okay, still a little bit to go of this floor. So, I thought I would use the second half of this dungeon to start talking about some of my views on Persona 4, because Persona 4 is a game that I have very much changed my opinion on for a while. Like, I said back during the Persona 3 playthrough that I had no intentions of ever doing a Persona 4 playthrough. And I said that because at, wow, plus 100 SP? And I think, does that stack with... I'm not even equipping Rise's accessory. What am I doing here? Why am I not equipping Rise's accessory? 600 and... Yeah, I don't know if that's stacking with the multiplier or not, but it's still a lot of SP. And at the time, I said that because I didn't actually like Persona 4 very much, and I thought doing a full playthrough of it would be an insult to people who did like the game. But yes, describing Namatame and Adachi here, this is why Namatame never had his own version of Izanagi. Now Izanami's just become a narrator. Well, I mean, we're level 99 and we've summoned things like Yoshitsune. Of course our power went beyond her expectations. Izanami, did you put the idea of the gas masks in everyone's heads? I wouldn't be surprised, actually. Prevents poison. Huh. It's actually kind of useful. Because poison does, it's a little known fact about this game that poison actually does lower your physical attack power. Which really is annoying when fighting hands with Yoshitsune because,
Looks like you can win this. Just
well, that
give
looks like
Win
a
the rest,
weird gene
okay?
thing. Oh, and the Rampage Drive, that's from Persona 3, that's like a really annoying enemy. Shiva, are you immune to... You are immune to electricity, so I can safely do this. Yes, that accessory might actually be not a bad thing to use if I'm going through going to grind some hands, because the most annoying thing about the ones in heaven is that they can do that and lower your attack power to the point where Hasautobi just barely doesn't one-shot them. I don't want to question how you can make blood come out of an enemy with a plush animal paw.
You couldn't do it.
And here comes Junes Bomber. So yeah, sorry for getting interrupted there, but my opinion on the game has changed quite a lot, and I think part of the reason why I felt that way about Persona 4 initially was, well, two reasons. One of them is more just a product of the time when I first got into the series, and the other is also that, but at the same time, it's also quite personal. So I don't want to get too much into personal issues here because I don't want to make this... I want to make this more about the game than about me. I don't want to make this all about me, but... my reasons for avoiding Persona 4 initially did have a lot to do with some personal things that I was going through at the time. So, and in fact, I alluded to this back during Persona Q. I'd actually forgotten about it until someone pointed out in the comments that I mentioned that there was kind of a personal cowardice that prevented me from playing this game. Prevents rage. Huh, Frozen Rose is actually kind of cool. So, assuming that this... okay, that's a weird enemy to be seeing in Izanabe's dungeon. A retro sci-fi looking tank thing. And some Okinas on steel things. So, I said that the first part was, are you going to cure old man, or am I going to have to use Amrita on that I'm pretty sure I kept on Vishnu? Nope, Rise cured old man. Fire and, I don't even know how to pronounce that. So, the time when I got into the series, I know I'd heard quite a lot about Persona 4 and 3. Like, I remember a few things. I must have vaguely heard stories about that game where teenagers shoot themselves in the head to summon, to summon things. I'd heard stuff about that, and I'd also heard about, vaguely about Naoto's plot and about Shadow Kanji.
Hang in there.
At the time, people were more just talking about how much, Naoto's English voice actress, because of that, the twist was very obvious. And they're also talking about Teddy's human form and how that used to be a twist and how it really isn't anymore. Actually, I think the kanji on Yu-Gi-Oh's fan is certain victory. This was, for context, this was about around 2013, I think? My memory's a little murky about exactly when I got into the series, but I know that at my anime club, somebody brought in, during a gaming session, Persona 4 Arena, and that was my first exposure to this series, really, just looking at Persona 4 Arena for a little bit. And then I was in a bit of a conversation with someone about, Persona 3's Evokers, and about how, about how weird they were. And at this time, this was about the point when Atlus was really going full ham on milking the Persona 4 spin-offs. And where a lot of just people on the internet, there was just a ton of resentment towards Persona 4 in general. And I think, it was almost, I forget exactly when Dancing All Night was announced, but, I remember when Dancing All Night was announced, that was and also the Golden animation. When those were announced, that was the point where everyone, the fandom, just snapped. When they were like, oh, come on, enough with Persona 4 already. Stop shoving it down our throats. And so, because of that, I was a little disillusioned towards Persona 4 because of the common online opinion at the time that it was just being milked and people were just getting really, really sick of it and that it was Atlus's giant cash cow. So, when I was deciding to get into the series, I partly started with Persona 3 out of spite. It worked out well for me because Persona 3 turned out to be not just an amazing experience, but it's probably it's a candidate for my favorite game of all time. I absolutely adore Persona 3 as a game. Persona 3, I still like it more than 4. I just like 4 now a lot more than I used. Wouldn't it be funny if I ran into the Reaper this dungeon? That would be kind of interesting. But yeah, I like Persona 4 now a lot more than I used to, is the thing. The Persona 3 will always just... I get that its gameplay is outdated and really archaic, and it just kind of... It's got a lot of annoying mechanics that probably haven't aged very well. And even Portable, which fixes the outdated gameplay, it ruins the overworld in my opinion. Just turning it into just a bunch of static images and menus instead of letting you actually explore the town. And I actually like Tatsumi Port Island more than Inaba in terms of like an actual overworld to explore. I think Inaba's developed more, and you definitely feel more of an attachment to the town in Persona 4 than you do in 3, and I think that's one of Persona 4's greatest strengths. Also getting a little bit more insight into Izanami's motives here. There were things that we probably could have already figured out though due to Amino Sagiri. Yeah, ironically, Izanami herself is blind to the truth. She doesn't realize that not all humanity wishes for what she thinks they wish for. I'll talk about that later. I think Izanami is actually really interesting in a lot of ways. Now we get to the second, more personal reason why I avoided this game for so long. And that is just because, frankly, the shadows terrified me on just it'd be a bit of a cliche to say like on a primal level, but there was just something absolutely horrifying to me about the shadows. Just being confronted with all of your worst thoughts and having to accept that they actually are a part of you in order to truly be free of them. And the fact they'll kill you if you don't accept them. I think there's actually a reason why a lot of horror games use the idea of shadows. Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2 is a shadow. And that's in a much darker game than this, and again, the concept of shadows, it's just something very, very scary to people, naturally. Most people are scared about the darker parts of themselves, and just the things they deny, the aspects of themselves that they prefer to keep hidden. But for me personally, it definitely struck a chord, because I've always been a very internal person, and I've always just had a lot of struggles in some ways with my own thoughts and my own mind. I've always felt there was nothing scarier than the kind of things that lurked inside your own head. And at the time when I was getting into the Persona series, it was during my university days where I was going through a lot of personal issues. Basically, I'd just been feeling really off for a long time. Also, there's a mini-boss here, by the way. I'll come back to that later. And I had no idea why. I kept having these really distressing thoughts that I couldn't shake. And because of that, the whole shadow concept, being your darker inner thoughts that you have to accept are actually you. When I was having some really disturbing thoughts that I just couldn't reconcile and that just didn't make sense to me, and it was just scaring me. It was at a time as well, university was not a good time in my life either. I was very stressed out. The work was bad. And even though I did find a lot of good friends in that period, I had some other things that were going on. Basically, I had a lot going on in my life that, it just wasn't the right time for me to experience a game about, facing your own issues. So, when I first saw Shadow Yosuke, even that, it just really terrified me. I just was almost in tears when I first saw it, and so in general, I just didn't want to play this game. It was just too disturbing for me. As weird as that sounds. Everyone says this game is all happy sunshine and rainbows, but to me it really wasn't. And to me, it really says something that I actually considered the game where personas are summoned by imitating suicide as the less disturbing of the two options. It was only after I left university and after this stuff got really, really bad and I was just feeling awful a lot of the time that I decided to see a therapist or a psychologist. And I really recommend this because I learned so much about myself in these sessions. It was nothing like I expected. It was really just talking, and I finally learned to explore and examine my own issues in a way that this game does, and I think that was when I actually started really appreciating Persona 4 for what it was. I could understand what everyone was going through when they faced their shadows, because I suppose I was finally doing that for the first time. Suddenly it just didn't seem so scary anymore. And what was also very helpful is that I finally got to put a name to what I was going through, and to why I was having these thoughts, and maybe it explains why I found the shadows so scary. So, I don't want to go too far into this, but I guess I'll say it here. I have OCD, or Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. Now, it's actually not what most people think it is. It's not like most people think it is, I have to turn like the light switch on and off like 100 times every time I leave a room. What it actually is that you get these intrusive thoughts that are often very distressing and are not like shadows in this game, they're like the exact opposite of who you are. And it can be very, very distressing. Like, they can be things like a mother constantly thinking of killing her child. And it doesn't mean they actually want that, it's actually quite the opposite. The fact that you even think that is a sign that it's not you. But the reason people get caught up in these compulsions is they do it to keep the thoughts at bay. And so, kind of coming to terms with that and understanding that and realizing how much that fit the symptoms I was going through. Again, it is very much like accepting your shadow. I kind of had an epiphany, and suddenly I was much more like understanding of what this game was trying to do. And like, I couldn't have even it was something that I never realized until I saw a psychologist, because another thing that I can just say about myself that I'm not ashamed to admit here at all, thankfully, the internet's been a lot nicer to this kind of thing lately, is that I really didn't think I could have anything else, because I am also Asperger's. And again, I'm not ashamed to admit that. I actually consider it a strength, and it's just part of me, and I honestly am totally okay with it. But it just meant that I never could have guessed that I would also have something else mentally on top of that. Okay, Rise, that was really good for you to have done that, because this thing right here, I'll stop my story for now, I'm pretty much at the end of it, but this thing.
Darkness won't work, so use something else.
It's back! Remember this thing? I'm sure anyone who's played Persona 3 has horrible, horrible memories of this thing. The sleeping table was such an infamous Tartarus mini-boss, they brought it back, almost identical in moveset, as a mini-boss in Persona 4's final dungeon. So yeah, it likes to hit you with fire, hit you with Almighty, instant death you, and also use the Fear Ghastly Whale combo. In fact, I should have equipped the Tome of the Void there. I do have Sandalphon. I should probably do that, because I'm not even sure if Rise can save you from, I'm equipping Skahar, so I'm pretty sure I still have that. I'm not even sure if Rise can even save you from instant death due to Ghastly Whale. So, yes, going to... I got rid of Sandalphon, and I couldn't have passed down Unshaken Will, dang it. Okay, this could be bad, actually. But I think it was Halel who I made my Mind Charge bot, so let's go for Mind Charge there. Yeah, by the time that you fight the sleeping table in this game, you're so much stronger than you were back in Persona 3. Although if I'll admit, the sleeping table is another reason why I think part of the reason why people think the sleeping table is so hard is because, I want to debuff your defense actually, is because they don't use Ken. Ken is actually very good in that fight. He's immune to light and he can hit it for pierce damage. Look at all those fire drains. I also, I still can't believe back in my P3 playthrough that I actually made the sleeping table look like a joke. Because I found out that Revolution is incredibly good in Persona 3. It just makes you crit all the time, and you can just keep this thing stun-locked with all-out attacks, and again, in P3, all-out attacks are incredibly strong, so it died pretty fast, and I was very surprised by that. But it dies reasonably quickly in this game, too. But yeah, it's kind of, you know, you shouldn't compare the sleeping table in this game to it in Persona 3 because, again, you are much, much stronger when you fight it than you were in Persona 3.
All right, I leveled up.
I was hoping someone would level up out of that. Let's do this. Let's save our world. I like the way this intersection looks too. But yeah, I'll stop there. But yeah, I may have gone a bit too personal in that direction. But that was another reason why I avoided Persona 4 at first. So what does this? Yeah, I had a feeling you were a summoner.
This won't work.
Oh no. I'm running the first chance I get.
It's calling backup. Hurry and defeat it.
Successful Junessi.
Now's your chance.
I'm guessing that's like Junessa's new mascot or something. But yeah, basically, yeah, now I guess I kind of always wanted to do that in a game about shadows and stuff. I've now told you mine. And that is, I feel, what one of the greatest strengths of Persona 4 is, in that I actually think Persona 4 really nails the psychological themes of the Persona series. That's one of the reasons why I love Persona so much, is because of, like, it going into... ever since I saw that therapist, I've just become fascinated by psychology. It's just something that I've grown to love recently. I might explore a little bit more of this 4 and then leave because we just beat a mini-boss. I guess it'll be fitting to do the final dungeon in 3 parts rather than 2. But like with the shadows, like this one really goes into Jungian psychology, and you'll find out even more about it if you watch Mr. Edogawa's TV Classroom, which I highly recommend. They're actually all really interesting. Except maybe the last one. I'm waiting to comment on that until I actually upload it, but let's just say the last lecture made me respect Carl Jung a lot less. I mean, yeah, Carl Jung had some weird ideas in some regards, but his psychology, I do think, definitely made for an interesting game, like, thing to base a game series off of. And I do think his idea of the shadow is quite relevant to a lot of things. I'm just going to go ahead and see if the red shadow is anything new here. And as far as psychologists go, I definitely prefer him to Freud. Really do not agree with a lot of Sigmund Freud stuff. Huh.
That's not good. Darkness won't
Oh yeah, one's
work.
smaller than the other, but I thought like one had a crown, the other didn't.
Ice won't work.
I actually made a mistake when I referred to another giant earlier. The Void Giant is the one from Monad that drained basically everything back in Persona 3. And I'm not on Skahar. Let's go back to that and use Wind.
4 of them. You need to thin them out.
Persona.
And I think the lions are weak to ice. Oh, well that's not good.
Counting on you. Persona.
I'll talk more, I think, in the next part about just how I feel overall about Persona 4 as a game, and looking at it more objectively and just
Out to steal the show, huh? Fire won't work. Try some.
a good thing I checked your descriptions before I tried anything. But I do think Persona 4 has a lot of strengths. And that's just another thing, is that I feel like sometimes on the internet I'm a bit of a minority. In a lot of circles, Persona fans have a really bad reputation because, like, if you go to the comments section of any mainstream Persona video, especially one on a romantic social link, you will see a lot of just, you know, lonely, horny fanboys just talking about the lions fell over just in time for that attack. That was kind of funny. Just, you know, saying kind of overtly sexual things about all of the waifus in the games. Yosuke just poisoned himself with the pinwheels. Yep, the Yosuke... I will say, I appreciate there's someone in the comment section who's been keeping a Yosuke's life sucks counter, and I know that he's, like, increased it by hundreds at certain points, but I still think it's kind of, oh, I don't want that. I don't want to get rid of my, I do not want to get rid of that rank 10 sword card. Is this my first rank 10? Well, I mean, this 10 of Swords is supposed to be a terrible card, but it gives us Vorpal Blade. A skill that's been nerfed since Persona 3, so I'm still going to say that it's terrible. Sorry if I'm going a little bit all over the place at the end here, but yeah, so I personally am into Persona, and it's often like a bit of a stereotype by mainline Shin Megami. I don't even have any chest keys. Oh no, I got one chest key out of that. You can't see it, but my jaw is just open right now. I did not know that you could get extra chakra rings in there. That's insane. Wow. 2 chakra rings? Guess I'll give that to Yukiko at the moment. But yeah, a lot of mainline Shin Megami Tensei fans have become frustrated by Persona overtaking it in popularity, and there's a lot I could say about that. I tried to avoid talking about that, because you might notice that I've talked about Shin Megami Tensei quite a bit in some of these videos. I like to acknowledge that I am aware of Shin Megami Tensei, and I'm aware of the series' origins when I'm playing Persona, but I'm personally not into mainline Shin Megami Tensei very much. So I would be a bit biased when I talk about it. But a lot of them have a stereotype that, you know, Persona fans are all about the waifus and about stuff. But I'm not to say that, oh, I'm so much more enlightened and better than everyone else or anything like that. But I feel like I'm one of the rare people who is into Persona for the psychology and for, like, the character studies and for the stories and the themes like that. Well, I mean, considering how much the shadows in here just want to kill everything, it probably wouldn't be peace. This will be our greatest battle, and with that, it's time to head back and prepare ourselves. Next time, we will be finishing Yomotsu Hisaraka, and I will also be trying to complete the Compendium too. So, look forward to that then.